In this lesson, we'll be working through the June 2018 summary question, but not by simply answering it. Instead, guys, our focus will be on developing the skills that you need to confidently tackle any summary question you face. So here's the plan. Throughout the lesson, I'll guide you through 5 key steps. You follow these steps carefully, and no matter what summary question you face in the exam, you'll be able to ace it. Before we start working through the exam paper, let's remind ourselves of the basics of summary writing. Firstly, a summary is a shorter version of the original text. It captures the main ideas of the text, and it must be written in your own words, and I'll expound on that a little later on. A summary is written in reported speech and in the present tense. And in the case of our CSEC summary, it should be no longer than 120 words. Guys, this is serious stuff. CXC, or the examiner, will actually stop marking your work once you've hit that 120 mark, so please keep it as close to the requirement as possible, as close to the word limit as possible. Step 1. Read the passage through at least twice. Guys, after the first reading, you should be able to answer this question. What is the overall theme or the main idea of the passage? So the first time reading through is to give you an idea of what the passage is all about. Let's do our first reading through the passage. Typically, bullies and their victims share the same characteristic, low self-esteem. Whether they internalize or externalize their feelings determines if they become bullies or victims of bullying. Usually, negative situations and events in a child's life can trigger low self-esteem. Externalizing feelings of pain or discomfort or worthlessness, which start in the home, can cause some children to become bullies as they seek to control their social environment to compensate for their lack of control in their family. For instance, if parents of a child are separating or divorcing, the child might feel responsible for the situation or powerless to keep the parents together. Frustration and anger develop. As a result, the child might take out the anger on others to compensate for the lack of control over the parents' separation. Other children internalize their feelings by refusing to talk about how they feel. Instead, they become depressed and withdrawn and see themselves as failures or lacking in some important way. When a bully attacks such a child, the attack validates this child's feelings of inadequacy, so the child often reacts negatively, accepting or confining the negative self-validation because he or she feels the bully is correct. Children with high self-esteem do not respond negatively to bullies because they already know that negative personal statements made by the bully are untrue and therefore unworthy of attention. The main goal of bullies is to get their victims to experience fear, anger, or sadness. Once their victims demonstrate these emotions by words, actions, or body language, the bully has control, and the bullying will continue until the victim no longer responds in the desired way. Words and physical responses can hurt, and ignoring the bully does not work. One strategy to diffuse bullying is to help the victim to understand the power of words. Parents should discover what words the bully uses. Discussing and understanding these words can rob them of their strength and the victim needs a supply of less attacking words to help diffuse the situation before physical violence starts. In addition, the child being bullied needs to remember that if he or she retaliates using the same words used by the bully, the situation will get worse as the bully will respond in kind. It is very easy to feel sympathetic towards the victims of child bullying. However, it would be more helpful to the victim if we try to empower them to counter the bullying. Success at this will help restore their own self-esteem and strength. Now you've read through the passage. What is the gist of it? What is it saying to you? What is the overall theme? The overarching idea? In this case, the passage explores the connection between low self-esteem and bullying. So there you go, guys. Step 1 completed. In step 2, your task is to list the 5 main ideas from the passage. By now, you should have read through the passage at least 2 times. As you work, remember to leave out minor details, excessive descriptions, repetitions, and direct speech. I recommend that you go through the passage paragraph by paragraph or in chunks of 2 paragraphs at a time. Often, each paragraph will focus on a different idea. However, if different paragraphs cover the same or very similar points, you can group those ideas together. Before we start picking out our main ideas, I just want to say a word about paraphrasing. I get asked all the time by students, do I have to paraphrase every single word of the text? The answer is simply no. While paraphrasing shows that you understand the text and it helps in being able to condense it, you cannot avoid using the key words or technical words in the passage as they are. In the case of our text on bullying, these would include words such as bully, bullied, victims, emotions, empower, or something like self-esteem. So please don't go in that exam stressing about paraphrasing every single word. It is okay to use the technical words or key words that are a part of the passage. Let's get into finding our 5 key points or 5 main points here. Now, if you look right at the first sentence, it tells us that typically bullies and their victims share the same characteristic, low self-esteem. I think that's very important, and so I'm going to take that out and stick it down as one of my main points. Now, I am going to start by paraphrasing that. So when I come to writing, it is already in its paraphrased form. I'm going to paraphrase that to both bullies and their victims have low self-esteem. Now, for my point number 2, I'm looking at the next paragraph. Now, it tells me there that negative situations and events in a child's life can trigger low self-esteem. Further down, it tells us that it can usually start in the home. So I'm going to combine those two, and I'm going to paraphrase into negative family situations can cause bullying behavior. Right, so in our previous point 2, we mentioned how some children who experience negative family situation become bullies. Now, in our next paragraph, we see that other children internalize their feelings by refusing to talk about how they feel, and they become victims of bullying. Right? I'm going to paraphrase that to victims internalize pain leading to low self-worth. And for our 4th point, it tells us that children with high self-esteem do not respond negatively to bullies, basically because they already know that what the bullies are telling them about themselves, they're not true. So let's paraphrase that to children with high self-esteem are less affected by bullies. The last part of the text was all about empowering victims of bullying to take charge by learning strategies to de-escalate the situation. So we're going to put that together to say empowering victims can help stop bullying. So that's our 5th point. Okay, so we have listed our 5 main ideas from the passage. Now for step 3, we're going to list some supporting points. Your supporting points are extra points from the text that help to explain the main points. And the truth is that while you were finding your main points, you might have already identified some supporting points. So if you've identified those while you're looking at your main points, nothing's wrong with jotting them down at the same time. Now, supporting points help to give body to your summary, and they help to connect the main points, and as we said before, help to explain them a little bit further. Now it's important that you make them brief. Don't forget you only have 120 words. Here I have listed our main ideas with some supporting points that I've taken from the text. So our main idea, the first one, was both bullies and their victims have low self-esteem. And a supporting point from the text is the difference is in how they express their emotions. The next one was negative family situations can trigger bullying behavior. A supporting point from the text would be children may bully others as a way to regain control they lack at home. Just a reminder, guys, that your supporting points should also be paraphrased. Don't just take it word for word from the text. Our third main idea was that victims internalize pain leading to low self-worth. Supporting point would be they believe the bully's words because they already feel inadequate. Our fourth point, or fourth main idea, was children with high self-esteem are less affected by bullies. A supporting point for that would be they don't react emotionally, so the bullies don't gain control. 5, empowering victims can help stop bullying, and our supporting point could be understanding the bully's words reduces their effect. We are now at step 4. You have your main ideas, you've got your supporting points started, and it's now time to write your summary. That's step 4. To write your summary, which is expected to be clear, logically organized, and within the word limit, which, as we've said before, it's 120 words for CSEC. Now you're definitely going to need some transitioning words to help your writing flow. These are joining words. They help you to smoothly join sentences, join ideas, and even other words together. Transitioning words can be used to show contrast. For example, however, on the other hand, while. They could be used to show cause and effect, such as a result, therefore, because. They could be used to add information. So in addition, also, furthermore are transitioning words that would be good for adding information. Or they could be used to sequence ideas such as first, then, next, finally. Now there are there are scores of transitioning words that you can use, but I suggest that you study these. If you study these transitioning words and you have them at hand to use, it's not to say you can't use others, but make sure you have a toolkit of transitioning words that you're ready to use in the exam. So take a picture of these or just write them off to help you. Step 5 is for you to check your work. At this time, the two major checks that I'm expecting you to do are 1, to check that you're within the words limit, and 2, to check spelling and grammar. There's not much that you're going to be able to do now, especially if you've used up most of your time writing the summary. But make sure you do a quick spelling and grammar check, which you could easily correct, and also your word limit, especially make sure that you haven't gone over. Here's a sample summary I've done based on the passage. Both bullies and their victims often have low self-esteem, but express it differently. While bullies externalize their feelings by hurting others, victims internalize pain and withdraw. Negative situations experienced by children, particularly at home, can lead them to feel powerless, causing some to bully others to regain control. Victims, on the other hand, may believe the bully's insults because they already feel inadequate. Children with high self-esteem are less affected by bullying as they recognize the insults are untrue and avoid reacting emotionally. Empowering victims by helping them understand the power of words can reduce the impact of bullying. Teaching calm, non-aggressive responses discourages bullies and can restore the victim's confidence and sense of control.